On Saturday, July 19th, the World Forestry Center is hosting a free, family-friendly celebration of our forests. Forest Fest, as they're calling it, will have hands-on activities, wood-themed crafts, kid zones, and live demonstrations from forestry professionals and community partners. And on July 19th only, all museum visitors receive a free forest poster with admission. Learn more at worldforestry.org/event/ForestFest or head over to their social media using their handle at World Forestry Center. The 12th annual Montevilla Jazz Festival, presented by Accelerator Design Studios, is back this Labor Day weekend. Between August 29th and the 31st, you can discover the scene, the sound, and the vibe of Portland's most adventurous hometown musicians. There will be more than 25 boundary-pushing concerts across East Portland's historic Montevilla neighborhood and Mount Tabor Park. Get your jazz adventure pass today at montevillajazz.org. Today on CityCast Portland, we're talking about the Democratic Socialist caucus that's formed in our city council, the possible expelling of ICE from our South Waterfront, and a healthy microdose of news covering our WNBA team, Shady towing practices, and the latest Parks and Rec drama. Joining me on this week's Friday News Roundup are Willamette Week City Hall reporter Sophie Peel and our very own senior producer Giulia Fiaoni. It's Friday, July 18th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Welcome, everyone, to the Friday News Roundup. Sophie, Giulia, thank you for hanging out with me this morning.
Hi.
Good morning.
For those of you new to the show, today is a day we break down some of the biggest local stories of the week with some of the best and brightest journalists in town, like Sophie here. But before we jump into the news, I usually ask an opening question so our listeners can get to know our guests a little better. And today's opening question is inspired by a TikTok I saw about the best places to break up in Portland. And so I'm just going to give you a little taste here. Abby, I don't know Abby, by the way, personally, but that's her handle. Abby did a really amazing slideshow presentation sharing ideas of places to break up in Portland. Here's one: the International Rose Test Garden, because this relationship tests me daily. Mm-hmm. There is the Moda Center, because me and you are a losing team. Very thematic. The Pittick Mansion, because you low-key haunt me. I mean, I wish it was haunted. You get the deal. So I'm curious. Your answers obviously do not have to be that clever or punny, but it made me wonder, like, wait, what are some like actual good places to break up in Portland?
Actually good?
Well, you know, I mean, I'm curious,
useful,
like, what
maybe?
Useful, what your answers would be. So, Giulia, do you want to go first?
I can kick this one off. The first one that came to mind was the Yamhill Pub. I really think that would do it.
Hold on. That is like considered. We're not dissing here. This is just a cultural fact in a sense. The diviest, sketchiest bar in all of Portland.
I have one detail to include here, though. It has to be during the day. Yamhill Pub during the day. I just think you can get away with anything at like very grimy dive bars in Portland during the day. Because all there are is like middle-aged construction workers and like low-key alcoholics hanging out and just not wanting to talk to anybody else around them. So you kind of get your own like funny privacy out of it because like the bar is still loud. You can say what you need to say.
Gotcha, yeah.
There are public witnesses, you know. The space is kind of made for it.
But also, it's not like a place you frequent. So if anything does get crazy, you're just like, it was at the Yamhill Pub. That dies there.
They're not
like,
going to remember you. Yeah.
That never happened. It's like the little Las Vegas of Portland.
There you go. You see it.
I do want to say that like someone I was dating was like, we're going to go to the Yamhill Pub in the day.
You know it's over.
I would know. I'd be like,
over.
Oh, this is, or they're trying to kill me. Like, I just be like, something's happening here.
Yeah. There is a lot happening at the Yamhill Pub, so why not there also be a breakup?
Oh my God. What about you, Sophie?
I think like a playground at dusk when the children have left. And there's a specific playground. So I walk by the Boise Elliott Elementary School a lot, and they have a little playground. And there's like a tiny double slide. So there's like, I mean, and the slide is made for like, 6-year-olds. So it's probably no more than like 8 feet long. But it's like 2 slides right next to each other. And I'm just picturing like me sitting next to like, a grown man on the other slide as we're breaking up. And it just feels right.
So you want to humiliate them before you finally call it off.
Both of us.
But both of us. Hey, we're both a little immature.
Humiliated. And then once we finalize it, then we both slide down.
Oh, I love that.
Into freedom.
Just hands up, just slide all the way down. And it's gonna be a 1 second slide since it's a children's slide. So it's just like, and we're done.
It's like the final thing. The final beautiful moment before we part ways.
I love it. Here is mine. Sophie, it's actually related to your work, Willamette Week. I didn't just think of a place to break up, but I also thought of the person I would break up. Here's the deal. Willamette Week is one of the only publications or media outlets that still allows comments. And I gotta tell you, your comment section is very interesting. And there is a genre of man that comments daily.
Yes.
So I would break up with that genre of man in the comments, so they would be humiliated and they would never
comment
come
again.
back.
Oh,
And I would do that as a service for you.
That is. You're serving some justice
Don't
in
you
the
think?
comments. That's good.
We do. It is a lively place, our comment section. We yes.
And that is an idea for all women dating these men.
Do it for Willamette Week.
Please. All right, you guys. Thank you both for your answers. On to the news of the week. Sophie, we're talking about a story you wrote this week.
Yeah, so I wrote a story this week about how the local chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America have really become sort of a meaningful political presence in City Hall, primarily because 4 of the 12 city councilors are dues-paying members. So that's a third of our councilors that are not just like, self-proclaimed socialists, but are actually part of like the local chapter. And I mean, there's a lot of significance that comes with that. I mean, the DSA for many years was kind of seen as a bit of a fringe group in Portland. They would show up to a lot of union rallies. They helped some local businesses. Helped employees of local businesses, or not even local, some national unionize. They were a presence, but they never really were seen as a serious political mover and shaker in City Hall, like the business lobby has been, like labor has been, to some extent, like sort of the nonprofit sector has been. And that completely changed with this new form of government and the election of these 4 councilors. And, they have kind of been, I wouldn't say they have been running City Hall. I don't think that's a fair characterization, but I will say, I think they've been sort of setting the agenda in City Hall. They have had a lot of their ideas heard and brought up, whether it's about, kind of their disdain of how the city has done economic development, whether it's about the role of policing. The DSA is like very public about, we don't talk to cops, we don't like cops, we think cops are like a force for, historical oppressions. They've been big on environmental issues, that, they're really big on pushing that Zenith resolution that looked into Zenith's actions. They have just it kind of seemingly out of nowhere become like the driving force in Portland politics right now. And they've just been heard more places. They've been more visible. And, these 4 councilors are really kind of speaking on behalf of this group and their desires. And I think that kind of underlying all of this is just the DSA's kind of position, and that they just don't trust the establishment, right? And the establishment is the city of Portland. And it's interesting when you put 4 of your advocates in the very structure that you don't trust. It's just an interesting dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you named the 4 counselors that are in this faction.
Yeah, it's Angelita Murillo, Mitch Green, Tiffany Kwayama Lane, and Samir Kanal.
It is interesting that we have 4 city councilors that are part of this political group. I feel like whenever there's an argument between councilors, I hate saying more conservative because that doesn't even exist in Portland, but the non-democratic socialists are quick to point out, like, you hate the police. And there's always the pushback of like, what are you talking about? No, we don't. But you're just flat out saying, yeah, they do.
I wouldn't say that for the councilors themselves. What I would say about the local chapter is they have very clearly in their charter or their bylaws have stated their position about police. And it is like full-throated. They are a tool used by oppressors. We don't trust them. So the chapter, yes, is very strong on that. I think with the counselors, I don't totally know their personal beliefs deep down, but like they are far more diplomatic about it, I think, because they're on council and they are overseeing the police bureau in this role. So they can't just be like, we hate all cops, right? And I don't think they necessarily believe that. And, I can't speak for them, but I don't think they do. I think they're a little bit more nuanced about it.
Well, thanks for kind of laying that out. And the reason I asked is because when you're talking about this faction, within city council, and then you speak about the political group that is supposedly super influencing them, it will sound like we're saying that these counselors hate the police. And it feels unfair. It feels like
yes, it is.
We're doing them a disservice if that's not the case. That's all. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. So there's definitely a distinction between like the local chapter, like you said, Claudia, and then the socialists that are actually on council. And yes, they're tied, but there's a difference there.
I think like the thing that stands out to me most when we like really break that down related to cops is an example that you included in your story, Sophie, about how some of those counselors were at the front of making sure that the police bureau didn't get that additional $2 million in this most recent budget cycle. They were the ones stepping in being like, there has to be an alternative to this so that our parks aren't getting screwed over in the meantime. And they were pretty much leading that conversation, specifically Counselor Murillo. And I think that's how that shows itself. It's a lot less like, we hate cops, get rid of the cops. It's like, no, here's this criticism of this moment of what's actually happening right now.
I mean, I think it goes deeper than that. I think there are deeper feelings than just like maybe they shouldn't have this extra $2 million. I think with some of these counselors, there is a kind of foundational mistrust or distrust of policing and of the police bureau. I don't think that's unfair to say. And I also don't think, and I have some records that I haven't done anything with them yet, but I would like to at some point. But I think it does show that the $2 million for some of those counselors maybe just wasn't about backfilling parks, but it was also about not allowing that money to go to the cops, right? It wasn't just oh, this is the lowest hanging fruit for parks. It was also we don't think the police bureau should have this extra $2 million.
Interesting, because that's what City Councilor Eric Zimmerman was accusing the block of, and everybody was like, whoa. And it's just well, I mean, if that's what you're saying, here's the deal. I actually feel like after speaking to Mayor Keith Wilson, no matter what the reasoning behind not giving the police the extra $2 million, it seems like it was the right decision because it appears that they already had that $2 million in their budget. According to Keith Wilson, they supposedly found it. Yeah. And parks did need it. So I don't know, no matter whatever the reasoning was, it ended up being the right move. It was a testament to how our government is actually working.
Yeah, and you're totally right about that. Parks needed it. And also, I think all bureaus in the city, what they always have carryover money from the year prior that they're not really supposed to touch until the fiscal year is actually ended. But in that case, what the police bureau said is they said, oh, well, we have this $2-3 million that we haven't used from this year that we could use. And I also think that has brought up a larger discussion for the city about how are our bureaus financing and penciling out these things, because they usually have when push comes to shove, they usually have a couple million that they don't say they necessarily have it. It's bam. Actually, I guess if we're really painted into a corner, we've got, this much to spare.
And how helpful is that, especially with such a dire budget negotiation and look through, since, we were tightening everything. That is a little, maybe not helpful.
No, it's not helpful at all.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Sophie, for always diving into our city council. Let's take a quick break here, and when we come back, more headlines of the week. Time slows down in Walla Walla, Washington, and that's the point. You can experience a vibrant and relaxing getaway, going at your own pace, doing as much or as little as you want. And if you love to eat delicious food and drink good wine, this is your destination. Walla Walla Valley produces everything from wheat to asparagus to strawberries to, of course, their famous Walla Walla sweet onions. So there's plenty of farm-fresh, fine dining from celebrated chefs to explore. But it's also home to more than 130 wineries offering a variety of expressions and vineyard experiences. And all of this is just a beautiful and scenic 4-hour drive from Portland. Go to wallawalla.org to plan your visit today. That's wallawalla.org.
How do you top your love for your cat with a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast Gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast Gems.
All right, Giulia, what are you looking into this week?
So I'm focusing on some reporting by John Rudolph and Asa Gartrell from Willamette Week. They're talking about how Portland City Council is currently discussing the possibility of revoking ICE's permit to operate out of their facility in South Portland. So more on City Council, but totally different direction. This is where ICE does administrative and detention work, but it's also where anti-ICE protests have been going on the past couple of months. And this facility just so happens to be right next to a Tesla dealership and near subsidized apartment housing and an elementary school. So there's a lot going on in this pocket of the city. And what's wild is that while this was all coming to a head on Tuesday within City Council, it was on the same day we got word that Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, was threatening to, quote, triple down on immigration enforcement in Portland and other sanctuary cities, and he would be visiting sometime soon, which he hasn't yet, and there have been no updates since he actually said this. Obviously, local and state politicians are not stoked on this. He's like everyone's least favorite in-law coming to town, but that's still to be seen. But this is all to say things are really reaching a boiling point in Portland with ICE. They've continued to operate illegally in some ways, while federal leaders are continuing to threaten those that don't comply. Local leaders are just staring down the barrel of past examples of major federal overreach. I'm talking about the George Floyd protests back in 2020, when people were thrown into unmarked vans and shot in the face with rubber bullets, and recently in Los Angeles when ICE took over large parts of downtown. So that's a huge threat when you're talking about how to approach something like this and your responsibility to your constituents. But there's also this pressure to act now, act fast, so that the harm doesn't continue. And some counselors are starting to really speak out about that. Counselor Angelita Murillo was saying, quote, "We're going to have to be incredibly nimble in how we address this." And Counselor Steve Novick emphasized, "I don't think there's anything to be gained by appeasement against this administration. We should not be trying to figure out how to keep our heads low and avoid the attention of the administration." So before I get into how ICE has violated their city permit to make this actually valid, what do you guys think about all of this so far?
I think what strikes me, and I think we knew this like when Trump was elected, but like we didn't have this new form of government. I think we always knew that it was going to be such a balancing act for our elected officials on how to respond to this administration. They are walking, I think, a really fine line of not necessarily drawing the ire of the administration without cause, because like that could create so much damage for the city if Trump decides to like, you know, I could see him just deploying everything he had and like him sending Proud Boy. You know, I could just see it going so poorly so quickly if we like poked the bear before we had to. But then it's like, at what point do you fight back and lash back and say like, no, not here? And I feel like we're kind of in it now, you know, like we're in it. We are seeing the Trump administration touch our city.
I feel like you really did touch on a lot of things that people are thinking about right now, where it's like, this is a huge responsibility and there really isn't a guidebook on how to address it so that the least amount of people are being harmed. So for 2 hours last week, Council's Community and Public Safety Committee heard testimony from residents of Portland who want the 2011 conditional use permit that ICE depends on to stay in South Portland completely revoked. And this is something that Council has said they couldn't do anything about for a long time because they were technically operating legally. But recently, some reporting came out from KPTV that showed ICE had, quote, likely violated the terms of that agreement more than 24 times by holding detainees for more than 12 hours. And honestly, I'm sure sooner or later we'll find out that they've been doing more illegal shit on top of that.
Totally.
There's no way that's the only thing. It's just wild to continue to see this. The federal Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, was accusing protesters of anarchy, saying they were Antifa, and complaining that they were posting the identities of ICE employees online and that it was an intimidation tactic, which, like, holy shit, in my opinion, that is a very good thing. These are public serving people. They're supposed to be comfortable being in the public eye. And in my opinion, if you are thinking that people knowing who you are is an intimidation tactic, then you are no longer doing your job. You are no longer serving the public. So for that to be a reaction to some of the criticism they're receiving for operating illegally within their permit terms, it's complete bullshit to me. But anyway, the good thing is City Council really seems to be considering this opportunity to revoke the permit. Councilor Murillo was talking about how if we do nothing, it sets a precedent that Portland is okay with folks operating illegally within their permit terms and violating what's expected of them, which in this case has devastating consequences, right? This is not just like you didn't submit the right paperwork, so you violated the terms of your permit. It's like, oh no, you are actually physically harming people. So this is a big deal. This is an opportunity to stop this. But right now, it's really unclear where this could go. To actually revoke the permit, it's unclear how long that would take. There was some reporting from Willamette Week that talked about how Councilor Eric Zimmerman said that the city attorney office was working on a memo about Portland's legal obligations regarding the ICE facility, and they're intending to collaborate with the Oregon Attorney General, Dan Rayfield, and all 36 districts across Oregon to pull together that memo. So there is a lot of momentum around this just to say like, hey, what can we do about this? And how can we do this in a way where it's not going to create more issues? But do you guys think that they'll actually pull this off in like a meaningful timeline?
I don't know. What I will say is I think there's always more flexibility than we think there is. Like the city oftentimes will say, we can't do this because of XYZ, but like there are tricks of the trade. You can circumvent things in certain ways. Like I think this administration is going to require cities to get crafty. And I cannot imagine that there is not a way that they can improvise on this.
Yeah, well, the way people just in life fight back, and I'm going to say bullies or people in power, especially. Like think about when you were a student and you had like a really mean teacher. It is always malicious compliance. You stay within the legal bounds, but you fight back in a way that they can't say shit. And I feel like the city of Portland has that opportunity now. I do wonder, though, if the state will at all manage a way to either, stop or whatever, because it does bring more attention to Oregon. And that might be something that Governor Tina Kotek is just like, we don't need that right now. Everything's on fire.
Yeah.
And Portland also, so much harm could be done if we unnecessarily aggravate the situation more. It is a hard, very delicate situation. And I don't envy them.
Well, thank you so much for looking into that, Giulia. Let's take a quick break here, and when we return, more headlines of the week.
Learning through play starts with Lego Duplo. With Lego Duplo, toddlers can develop real-life skills while having fun with colorful bricks made just for them. Large, easy to grip, and safe to explore. When children express themselves with Lego Duplo, they build patience, problem-solving, and empathy. See your child learn perseverance and self-expression with everything they imagine and create. Visit lego.com/preschool to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso Virtuo Coffee Machines. Ready to enjoy the bold flavors of barista-quality Nespresso iced coffee at home? Simply fill a glass with ice and press the brew button on your Virtuo Pop machine to enjoy rich double espressos roasted to stand up even when chilled. Refreshingly bold iced coffee. Refreshingly easy to make at home. Visit Nespresso.com to shop now.
So for my segment, I'm going to do a little microdose of news. I have a few headlines I'm going to run through. Per usual, someone's going to time me. I have 1 minute to get through the headline, and then we'll discuss. But that's it. I get 1 minute, I get cut off. This is something that John and I do sometimes during the midweek roundup just to pack it in. And also, it's weirdly really fun for us. But all right. So, Giulia, whenever you're ready, feel free.
Okay, I'll give you a little countdown here. 3, 2, 1, go.
Portland's WNBA expansion team unveiled their new name and logo for their 2026 debut, and to the disappointment of some who find the name insensitive to our new reality of worsening wildfire seasons, the owners chose to use the name of our previous team, Portland Fire. That team ran from 2000 to 2002. The new Fire's logo is a rose engulfed in flames, which out of context, you guys, kind of looks like a marshmallow. Their color palette will be fire red, brown, blue, and pink. I hope not all together is all I'm asking. The move to use the pre-approved name came after the owners stated they faced difficulty with intellectual property and trademarks and were repeatedly told no by the league when choosing a new name. Done.
Oh, you had 16 seconds left.
All right, their colors remind me of like Neapolitan. Isn't that pink, brown?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even really care what the name is. I'm just very excited we're getting a WNBA team. I'm gonna get all their merch. I'm gonna eat Neapolitans every single day.
Well, let me explain to you why some people are upset. Like this Wednesday, Governor Kotek declared a state of emergency on account that we're not even halfway through the summer and we're already experiencing a devastating wildfire season. I know it doesn't seem like it in Portland, but the Cram Fire east of Madras is currently just tearing through tens of thousands of acres and filling central Oregon skies with smoke. Several fires have already burned across the state, including the Rowena Fire. So some people are just like, can we not, But I also understand, I kind of feel for them, like as to why Bethal Mirage, who is the owner of the Portland Fire, when her and her brother came to purchase the team, it's because the original buyer supposedly walked out after basically having his name, Rose City Royalty, just kind of dunked on by Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. But that made me wonder, like, how many other names of his had been rejected, and if that was just the one where he was just like, I'm done. If it was like a litmus test of like, oh, this is going to be awful to work with them. Because if they basically went with Portland Fire because they're just like, no other name would go through, that is also just kind of like, what's going on with the WNBA? Like, why are you guys making it so hard?
Yeah, it's strangely complicated, but at the same time, I'm glad that the alternative was like, all right, no more team. That's enough.
Yeah. Are you guys ready for the next headline?
Yes.
Yeah, let me give you a countdown here. 3, 2, 1, go.
Adina Long, the director of Portland Parks and Rec, has resigned from her job weeks after she was placed on administrative leave for undisclosed reasons. She's receiving more than $140,000 as severance pay. The Oregonian reported that her exit comes in an already turbulent moment for the Parks Bureau and was made known among staff only hours before the Portland City Council was scheduled to vote on whether to refer a proposed 75% parks levy increase to voters this fall. Now, if you weren't aware, Portland Parks and Rec is in dire need of money for a backlog of much-needed maintenance. Done.
25 seconds left.
Holy
You're
shit.
killing it. You don't even
Fucking
need a
kid.
timer.
Sophie, I know you were also reporting on this story, and I think to this day, we still don't know why she was let go.
Well, no,
I'm curious. I mean, officially. I'm saying officially. I'm wondering, what's the unofficial reason? Yeah.
Here's what I'll say. It is my belief that it was not one big thing. It was a collection of small things that really came to bear during budget season. There were a number of counselors that really questioned Adina and other parks leaders about their use of levy funds, but also just about the Bureau's finances. And I would say Adina did not always take well to that criticism and that questioning. There were just, I think, some really hard feelings and inquiries that kind of came up during budget season about how the Parks Bureau has operated. And I think there were some counselors that were not happy with just sort of how Adina responded to those. And yeah, I think there were maybe some other issues as well. But I think that, 2 months when we're talking about really tough financial decisions for the city, and when we're looking at a bureau that is like in kind of financial dire straits, but some people are like, how did they get in such a bad position? Why didn't we know sooner? I think that naturally the question is going to fall on the top person, and that was Adina. But yeah, her resignation announcement came like 3 hours before the city council voted to refer this parks levy to the fall ballot. So it was I don't know if it was serendipitous timing or somewhat cruel timing or somewhere in between, but yeah.
I think what some city councilors were quoted as saying is that they felt stonewalled by her when they were trying to, because essentially they were just like, let's try to find this money. Let's figure this out, And she just was like, no, according to them. Now, on that 75% levy increase, Alex Zelensky of OPB reported that it would tax Portland homeowners on average $130 more a year to keep the city's parks operational. And if it fails to pass this levy, the Parks Bureau already bare bones budget would be cut in half. So they need to find alternate streams of revenue. And I think that's something that some city councilors are also looking into. But also, like, where is all our money going? We're the most taxed citizenry in the United States, and yet our bureaus need more money. So I'm just curious, where's all the money going? That's all. Ready for my next headline?
All right, I'm going to count you down. 3, 2, 1, go.
A report released by the auditor's office this Wednesday found that owners of vehicles that block the right-of-way after a collision or engine trouble can face widely disparate tow rates because of a gap between Police Bureau practices and the city's towing contract, which is managed by the Transportation Bureau. Portland Police typically calls for a private request tow, which are not regulated by the city's tow contract. Most tow companies voluntarily comply with the contract rates when doing private request tows, but one company, Elite Towing and Recovery, charges nearly 5 times the median rates of their competitors.
What?
End of headline.
You're killing it.
Can you believe this shit, though?
No.
There
That's
is so
insane.
much scandal that happens with tow companies. I don't know what it is.
Oh.
I feel like every single year a report comes out from the auditor or ombudsman that's like, bad tow company.
Yeah. Well, so the aftermath of this investigation by the auditor's office or the ombudsman, basically they were like, hey, we request that tows benefit motorists, and they recommended that the Transportation Bureau change the city contract to cover private requests tows or take other measures to ensure fairness. But this is what I found so interesting. All of this happened because there was a complaint from a citizen that was lodged this year. I just find that, like, the auditor's office, they're just like the A+ students.
Honestly, my dream job, because it's
City auditor?
so, like, you're just investigating stuff, which is what I like.
Sophie Peel, you would be so good at that.
Thank you, Claudia.
Simone Reddy, if you're listening and you need another investigator, Sophie Peel is ready to jump. Willamette Week is listening, being like, I'm sorry.
No, wait.
No, I actually have a weird city crush on them.
Yeah, no, I
do.
really like.
On the whole team?
On the whole fucking are you kidding
The whole
me?
operation, just
The
a big old
whole
crush.
operation. Big heart to the whole operation. They're just so good at their job. It's insane.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes it's just, you know what I mean? Like when you're kind of down on city government or whatever, and you're like, well, at least we have this office. It's fucking
Just
killing
the
it.
facts.
You know what I'm most envious of? Because, like, there's a lot of parallels between, like, reporting and what the auditor's office does. The thing is, city officials have to give the auditors what they want. They just have to open their books and mouths. And, like, they don't have to do that for me. So it's like, unfettered access is, like, such a scintillating thing for me.
Yeah. Oh, man. That'd be a really cool job. Well, those were all my headlines. So that was
You killed it.
Thank you.
That was just like, you blasted through that news.
I do have a shout out. If you don't know, if you become a Portland CityCast neighbor, you are able to give us shout outs. We shout out your favorite organizations, your favorite small businesses. So if you head over to membership.citycast.fm, you'll find CityCast Portland. If you become a member, you get ad-free listening. You also get to hang out with us. We do member-only events, and this is my shout-out, is actually, I wanted to shout out Sticky Wicket in St. John's. This is Portland's first cricket bar, the sport, not the insect. They graciously hosted a post-historical walk hangout with some of our Portland neighbors last Sunday. They were so sweet. Like, I had to quickly switch venues. The other venue I chose, they kind of closed their kitchen because they were just like, it's so hot. You know, and they were just so amazing. There was like 25 or 26 of us, and they're like, sure, come on down. They gave us a discount, which was so sweet. And they also have really hard to find dishes like poutine and shepherd's pie.
Yes.
What I was able to try, their food was delicious. So just a heads up, if you are in St. John's or you like cricket, Sticky Wicket, come on through. And also, if you want to join our historical walks, we have a baseball game coming up. We're all going to be at
Portland Pickles.
Yeah, we're all going to be at the Portland Pickles. Come on through. I'm throwing out the first pitch, which is insane.
Crazy.
Wait, when is this?
August 7th.
Oh, I must go.
It is the last
Yes.
home game of the Pickles, and they're doing this whole theme, like, Keep Portland Weird, and we're, like, sponsoring it somehow. I don't know how we got into this, but it's amazing.
We're all going to be there. Yeah.
The Dandy Warhols are going to be there. I have no idea to what capacity. So I don't know if they're just there or if they're going to play or, like, what's happening. I'm very excited about this. So anyhow, if you're a Portland member, we will be releasing tickets, free tickets to come hang out with us. So yeah, membership.citycast.fm. You guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thanks for going through some of the headlines of the week. I love that Sophie is literally right now buying tickets to go see because like she's checked out. Like she's just like, I'm sorry, August 7th, let's go. Well, you guys, thank you. And everyone listening, have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, Claudia.
Thank you.
That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thank you so much for listening. Our podcast production team this week was John Atariani, Giulia Fiaoni, Francisco Kilgore, Lizzie Goldsmith, and myself. Our Hey Portland newsletter editor is Rachel Monahan, and our host is me, Claudia Meza. Original music by Jenny Conley and Stephen Drizos. Additional music by All the Kimonos, as well as Sarah the Instrumentalist, Timothy Infinite, and Gregory David, courtesy of Epidemic Sound. We'll be back Monday morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.